We dated for 4 years and have been married for 2. I loved kids and have always wanted at least 2 or 3, and I've been very open with my wife about this. She's never been a fan of kids, but she always painted it as her not being ready to have children and not wanting to go through pregnancy. Every discussion about kids we've had has been met with her always saying, "I'm just not ready," and even suggestions about adopting have been met with the same reply. She's made it clear to me that whilst she wouldn't mind being a mother, she's just not ready yet. I recently had my 30th, and I raised the discussion with her again. I don't want to leave it too late, as ideally I'd like to still be somewhat young whilst my kids grow up, as my own father was 55 when I was born. This led to a massive argument, where she finally told me she doesn't want to be a mother. She doesn't want to ever have kids, whether they are hers or adopted. I was hurt, but pulled back a bit and decided to give her some time to think. She then surprised me with news that some of our friends apparently having trouble getting pregnant, and they approached her with the idea of being a surrogate. She didn't discuss it with me, or even tell me, but she just said she was going to go ahead with it and had the appointment booked to see if she's suitable. I feel like this is a slap in the face to me. She explained that she just doesn't want to be a mother and has no issue with being pregnant or giving birth. She just doesn't want to have to raise a child. She's adamant about going through with this and even used the "my body, my rules" argument to shut me out of the decision completely. I'm going to see a lawyer on Monday, but I'm wondering if I should go through with a divorce. Kids are something I've always wanted, and I feel like she's just kicking me whilst I'm down by doing this. This would be a divorce situation for me. While yes, it's her body, her choice, she's also married to you, and it's supposed to be a partnership. She didn't discuss it with you or take your feelings into account, not to mention that you now have to put up with her pregnant butt for 9 months. For me, even if she decided to not do it in the end, the damage is done. For a little bit of background, my sister and I have the same dad, but different moms. My dad left her mom for my mom. I know, it's kinda crappy. Neither of my parents have more than a grade 9 education, and both make just slightly above minimum wage. My sister, like every other woman in my family, got pregnant when she was 16 and moved out on social assistance. I wanted to break the cycle, and although I got pregnant at 20, I went to university, married the father of my child, and am now working towards my master's. I have a lot of pride in the fact that I broke a 3-generation teen pregnancy, high school dropout cycle. My sister now has 5 kids, ranging in age from 10 to 3. Normally, I couldn't care less how many kids someone has, because it's none of my business. But this whole situation is impacting everyone negatively. My sister and her husband do not work. They have to get Christmas hampers, borrow money, and live on social assistance. They also don't take care of their house. It's literally like an episode of Hoarders in there. There's cat and dog poop all over the floors, moldy food everywhere, dirty diapers, etc. My nephew was so hungry, I caught him eating a bowl of moldy Cheerios once when I visited. I'm tearing up just writing that. We all have gone there multiple times to try and help them clean up, and have gotten 2 to 3 dumpsters full of garbage out each time. Every time my husband and I take the kids, we have to take them out and buy them clothes while they're staying with us. The clothes they come in don't fit, reek like cat pee, and are always inappropriate for the situation. For example, every summer we take one of them camping. They never get to do anything without all their siblings, and it's something they each look forward to each year. It was a 6-day camping trip, and all that was in my niece's bag were a pair of her older brother's jogging pants. He's 10, she's 5. And a weird ripped fleece dress that was 3 sizes too small. This is a common occurrence. On Sunday, we had our son's birthday party, and all the nieces and nephews were invited. 3 of them don't have any winter gear and were wearing jean jackets and running shoes in negative 10-degree weather. The oldest had dog poop on his pants, and the youngest had gum stuck in her hair. The entire time, all my sister would talk about was how they can't wait to have their 6th child, and they're already trying. I'm honestly shocked. They have no means to take care of the 5 they have. I get that it's not really my business, but the fact is, children's services are already very involved. If things get any worse, they will lose all the kids, And the general family consensus seems to be that I'll take them in when that happens. I love those kids, but my husband and I have worked extremely hard to be able to give our 2 children good lives. I don't want to sacrifice their happiness and well-being because of someone else's mistakes. On top of all this, my sister has been diagnosed with some sort of personality disorder, and her psychologist straight up told her she should stop having babies because it's negatively affecting her. I'm so saddened by all this. I want to help them, but I'm honestly out of ideas and patience. So, should I just bite the bullet and take the kids in when they get removed? Child Services has given them one last chance to fix the situation, and the 2 of them haven't done anything about it. Or should I let them go into the foster system? I just need outside perspective. Edit. I also wanted to ask if there is any way I can help my sister besides the cleaning, etc. She's clearly over her head, and I'm concerned with her mental well-being. I want her to get better so she can keep her children. You're not under an obligation to take them in. Normally, my advice would be about family and love, and it's not the kids' fault, and keeping everyone together is worth a little discomfort and adjustment. But this isn't 1 or 2 kids. This is potentially 6, which would bring your total number of children to 8. That's not a small adjustment. That's a major life shift. That's a new house, new vehicles, 2nd or 3rd jobs to afford everything shift. I know of very few people who could literally afford, to suddenly expand their family from 4 to 10. I think in this case, letting the foster system take the children in is in everyone's best interest. You should be able to keep track of them, find out which homes they're going to, keep in touch, make sure they're all doing okay, etc. You don't have to abandon them just because you can't house them. R.E. Helping your sister. You're screwed until you can get her to understand her situation and how bad things are. You can clean and shop for them until you're exhausted and broke. And if she doesn't pull her head out of her butt and start actually parenting, then you might as well be raising them yourselves. You could try to get her to see a therapist or social worker and get advice, but you can't actually force her to do anything. I'd say let her hit rock bottom and reach out for help, but she's there now and seems to be enjoying it. I think it may be best for the kids to be away from her and that house for a while. While I think you can help your sister improve her life, I don't think you can save her family. I'm 24 female, and my sister is 26 female. I've been with my boyfriend Ben, 29, for 3 years. He's a S dancer. I always knew because I met him when he was hired at my friend's 21st birthday party. I'm used to women throwing themselves at him. I can live with it because I know that he comes home to me every night and tells me about his day. He has a no-touching rule about the so it doesn't bother me about what he does. Here's the problem. I'm not in his league, and my sister uses this at every turn. He met my family a few months after we met, and she wouldn't stop flirting with him. She kept mentioning that I need to be careful, he'll cheat. He came to a Halloween party as Aquaman. He's Samoan with long hair, so he looked the part. And my sister made inappropriate jokes. She'd say things like, "I've got dollars in my pocket." It was making him uncomfortable, so we left early. I texted her that he is a man, not just a dancer, and to treat him like it. She told me I was imagining things because I'm paranoid he'll leave me for someone more attractive. The next time was last Valentine's Day, when her then-boyfriend asked us all on a double date to a small casino opening. He was awesome, so I thought her attention would be on him. She would sneak in between me and Ben as we were playing so she could be near him. She'd blow on his dice for good luck, etc. Completely forgot about her boyfriend the whole night. My boyfriend is still friends with him to this day. Last weekend, her best friend held a bachelorette party that my sister had to organize, as the maid of honor. I don't know many details, but I know it was the classic bachelorette. I didn't know when it was, where, or anything like that. So when Ben told me he was hired for a bachelorette party, which he often is, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. He got home and said, "We need to have a serious talk." I thought he'd cheated at work, so I was on edge. He told me that my sister had used her friend's details to book him, and that he didn't know she was the one who hired him, or he would have passed it to one of his friends. She was all over him, giving him money and encouraging him to take it all off. She knew he didn't take underwear off. It's one of the first questions she asked when he met my family. I drove to her house and confronted her. She told me he was the only S-dancer she knew, and that she had an obligation to hire one for her friend's party because she was like a sister to her. I am her sister. She said he was lying about the night and that she took a back seat. She said it was all in my head because I knew he would leave me. I called her a manipulative witch, using her friend as a way to get what she wants, and for trying to put this on me out of jealousy. And she closed the door and called my father, that just so happened hated me being with a S-dancer anyway. They're both pissed at me for making it personal and causing drama in the family. Not the a-hole. Your sister sounds like a real piece of work. Also, don't put yourself down by saying that you're not in his league. You and him have been together for 3 years by building something meaningful. My 53 male son would have been 27. Passed away 4 years ago after getting into a car accident while drunk. The reason why he was drunk and driving was because he found out that his wife, Roxanne, 26 female, miscarried their children. They both came over to my house for a week. Then he went out to a bar, got drunk, and met his untimely end. His wife was devastated by the sudden deaths of her husband and future kids that she fell into a deep depression. She was depressed and had panic attacks very often. Me, my wife, 50 female, and my twins, 24 male and female, though grieving, helped her through the situation. After a couple years of therapy, Roxanne managed to get herself back together and joined the dating scene again. She met a nice young man and they've been together for a year and a bit now. Roxanne broke the news a couple of days ago about how they're getting married, and I was happy that she was finally moving on with her life. Now, here's where it starts going downhill. After hearing the news, I congratulate her and ask her for the necklace my son gave her. It's this beautiful white gold necklace with a diamond in the middle that my late grandmother gave my wife on the condition that it stays in the family. If we were ever to get a divorce or remarriage, this was also the condition my son proposed with his wife. However, when I asked for it back, she got very possessive of it and said she would not return it. I asked her why, and she completely ignored me and asked why I wanted it back. I said that I would like my family heirloom to stay in the family, and if my daughter were to get married, I would give it to her. She said it was a reminder of the only person she will ever love in this life, which confused me a bit because she's getting married to another man. I told her that I was not comfortable giving something very important to me, to her and her new husband, and reminded her of the agreement. She called me selfish for asking for a piece of metal, and I retorted by saying, if it's a piece of metal, then why is she hanging on to it? Roxanne then told me that it belonged to her loved one, and I said it belonged to my late grandmother, who was also a loved one to me. She started bawling her eyes out, saying that it's hers and no one can take this from her. I realized that while it's a keepsake for her loved one, it's also a keepsake for mine as well. Plus, I think if she keeps a souvenir of her past relationship with someone she's not yet over, it will cause unnecessary problems in their marriage, like her future husband thinking that he's just a distraction, rebound. Any advice for this situation? I doubt your grandmother expected the tragedy that would happen. Death is not the same as divorce. Does Roxanne think of your son as her ex-husband? From Roxanne's point of view, sounds like you're saying because she found love again, she is no longer a part of her first husband's family anymore. I can see why she's hurt. We've been together for 3 years, and everything was going amazing until I proposed last month. Since then, it's been nothing but stress. We had 2 amazing, wonderful nights, and then I went from being happy and hopeful to being absolutely miserable in the space of 34 days. We went to her family's for dinner, and the first thing her mom said after she showed them her ring was, "Now that's just a placeholder until you can pick out your real ring, right?" When my fiancé said no, it was her real engagement ring, her mom gave me a look, and then she and her other daughter nagged at me about how important it is to have a diamond engagement ring, and they got progressively nastier as the night went on. I left their house feeling like I was a dumb, cheap, mean jerk. Then, the next week after we signed the prenup that my dad insisted on, her family really exploded. I got angry phone calls from her mom, her sister, even her aunt, who I barely know. My fiancé is known for a long time if she married me, she'd have to sign a prenup, and she was fine with doing so. I was disinvited to family events, and after the first week of nasty texts and calls, her family blocked my phone and unfriended me on social media, but didn't block me. Now, her mother and sister keep making public Facebook posts about how awful I am, and how much they wish my fiancé would come to her senses and dump me. My fiancé has been more quiet than usual, not as loving as she normally is. She says it's just the situation stressing her out, but I'm worried she might be thinking of leaving me. I ask her if she loves me. I ask her if she still wants to have a life together, and she says yes. But she looks really annoyed every time I ask. I don't know what to do to fix this. I can't get rid of the prenup, or I'm disinherited, and the trust fund that becomes available to me next year is a big part of our plans for our future that we've made. I offered to take her shopping for another ring, but she said she didn't want to do that, and asked me not to mention it again. Last night, she asked could I please stop bugging her about where our relationship stands until the end of the month. Help, please. What do I do? What do I say so we can stay together? I love her. Edit about the ring. It's not a crappy ring like so many of you are assuming. It's a custom-made antique reproduction with emeralds and dragonflies on it. My fiancé likes green stones, old stuff, and dragonflies. I had it made by the same jeweler she had make some of her custom earrings once, and she shops for herself at this store all the time. So I figured he'd professionally know what to make for her. I even asked her best friend to look at the design to make sure it was the right style, since I know duck all about antique jewelry. It cost me 14 grand. The budget was 50 grand, and I'm using the rest of the budget to take my fiancé to Europe on our honeymoon, so she can see a bunch of old castles and museums, since that's her thing. I really thought I chose wisely, and a one-of-a-kind ring and a big adventure trip instead of a diamond was the right way to go. Give her space and time, dude. She's obviously trying to deal with her family, putting a lot of pressure on her, and I really don't think the end result here is her leaving you. Just give her some space to calm things down. She's already contending with half of the soon-to-be family at odds, so I'm certain she also doesn't need constant questions about new rings or your future or whatever. Not trying to sound rude, just to say it's probably best to let her figure stuff out for a little bit.